Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Wednesday afternoon in the capital city. It's a beautiful day. We've got a jam-packed show. Thanks for hanging out with us, spending part of your day with 580 Sports Talk on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, and online worldwide at 580WIBW.com. Also, a hello to those of you who are watching the program today, checking us out on our YouTube stream, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and for everyone who is watching on Facebook as well at WIBW News. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is with me. Brendan Dworzinski is off the next 2 days. He'll be back on Friday. Grateful that you have decided to spend a little bit of your Wednesday hanging out with us here on 580 Sports Talk. We've got plenty to get to. We've got two great guests. We're going to have a funky good time. Thanks for hanging out. Royals winners last night go for a series win tonight over the Twins. I don't typically get it. I shouldn't say I don't typically, but I've had some misses. I've had some notable misses when it comes to accurately projecting whether or not we were going to have a pitcher's duel based on the pitching matchup. There have been times I've said, hey, man, call a babysitter. Make sure you get tickets for this one. This is a box office pitching matchup. And then both guys are out by the third inning. I did that last year when Cole Ragans and Corbin Burns hooked up early in the season in Kansas City, and they both got bombed. So I've gotten it wrong before. So I'm going to pat my back for getting one right. I told you, low-scoring pitcher's duel last night. That's exactly what we got. The Royals squeezed one across in the bottom of the eighth thanks to some woeful Twins defense and some elite speed from number 7, Bobby Witt Jr., and the end result is a 2-1 Royals victory. So we'll break that down. We'll look ahead to tonight's game and a little bit of Thursday's game as well, since the next time we talk to you after today will be following Thursday afternoon's game at the K. Hopefully, the Royals will be going for a sweep on that day. We will have to see. But we will talk some Royals baseball today. Team has had to make a move today. Player headed to the injured list. Player called up from Omaha. We'll get into that as well. That is coming up. We're going to talk a little NFL draft today. We know what the Chiefs need. What don't they need? And let me stop you before you say, well, they're pretty set at quarterback. Yeah, they are. They are pretty set at quarterback. Thank you for your valuable contribution to the discussion. What I mean is this. At pick number 31, is there a position other than quarterback that the Chiefs don't need at 31? There's been a lot of talk about the Chiefs setting their roster up in such a way that they can truly approach that pick or their place late in the first round with the mindset that they can go get the best player available, or that they can be flexible. They can move up a couple of spots. They can move back a handful of spots. But they're not in a scenario where they have one position where they absolutely have to go take a player. I think that's mostly true. But what I wanted to debate, and what Spencer and I will get into, and what we'll solicit your opinions on as we go along, what positions do the Chiefs not need to be as concerned with, particularly early, particularly even with, not just with pick 31, but pick 63 as well? What do they not need to prioritize from that particular spot in the draft? We're also going to have a guest on to talk NFL draft with us. His name is Luke Easterling, and he's a football writer for Athlon Sports. And Luke breaks down the draft. He's got a 4-round mock draft that came out. He's getting ready, I think, to put out another one tomorrow. He's been putting one out every week, and typically they've been coming out on Thursdays. So he may have another mock draft coming out tomorrow. He's got positional breakdowns, individual scouting reports, lots of great stuff over at athlonsports.com. And Luke is going to join us. We're going to get his opinions on the NFL draft, his favorite prospects, maybe his least favorite prospects, what he sees the Chiefs doing with their top 100 picks, and a whole lot more. That's coming up at the bottom of this hour. Luke Easterling will join us from Athlon Sports. Bottom of the 4 o'clock hours, Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-up, our usual Wednesday visit with Fitz, and get his thoughts on the latest transfer portal developments and the latest spring football developments out in Manhattan. Tim Fitzgerald joined us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And in the 5 o'clock hour today, I am going to look to make it 3 years in a row where I correctly predict the winner of the Masters. They tee it off in Augusta tomorrow morning. And I want to get my pick in before the ceremonial starters let it rip from the tee box in the morning dew of Augusta tomorrow. It hasn't been rocket science to correctly pick the last 2 Masters winners, but I've done it, and I've profited. And in these uncertain times, wouldn't you like some sound financial advice? And what's more sound than a guy who's picked the Masters winner twice in a row telling you who's going to win the Masters this year so that you can then go and wager and go forth and prosper on that. That is obviously spoken with tongue firmly in cheek, folks. No gambling advice is sound financial advice, but we're going to make it 3 in a row. I'll give you I'll give you my Masters pick, and I'll give you some top 5, top 10, top 20 picks, maybe some sleepers. I love the Masters. I love major season in golf. So we're going to get into that in the 5 o'clock hour later on today. Also, everything else you've come to know and love from a Wednesday edition of the show, our 580 Sports Talk headlines, what is wrong with you coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll do One Gotta Go here in a little bit. And your interaction with the program today, 2 ways you can let us hear from you today. Shoot us a text, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. You can also jump on into the YouTube comments if you are watching the live stream today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And if you've never done that before, but you're sitting at work or you've got your phone next to you and you think, yeah, maybe I should check that out. You should. You should check that out. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And when you do that, when you do turn us on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel, there is a chat feature during the show where you can interact with not only your fellow listeners, but also your humble hosts as we go through the day. So jump on into that live chat. Hello to Mark H. and Christopher. Paul's in. Vance is in. Ryan says he's betting the house on my Masters pick. Sound financial advice, Ryan. That's my tongue in cheek. Thank you to those of you who are involved in the chat. Those of you who will jump into the chat as we go along today. Thank you for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. Before we get into Royals baseball, I owe you a keyword for the Choose Your Trip 2025 sweepstakes going on for the next 2 weeks here. Go to our website, 580wibw.com. There's a link that you can click. It says, listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. Pretty self-explanatory contest, the Choose Your Trip contest. You win, you choose your trip. You click on that link, it sends you to a page where you enter a keyword. We have a new keyword every hour. This hour's keyword, so it's good for the rest of this hour all the way up until 3:59:59. This hour's keyword is Hill. Hill, as in former Royals left-handed reliever Tim Hill. Hill is your keyword. Hill, Hill. Go to 580wibw.com. Click on the link that says listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. and put in that keyword Hill this hour and get registered for your chance to win a trip anywhere in the United States. Twins Royals last night. Royals win it 2-1. Pretty much exactly the game I thought it was going to be given the starting pitching matchups. And the Royals were able to create just enough thanks to Bobby Witt Jr.'s speed, the Twins' horrendous defense. Griffin Jacks, look, I ride with anybody who, like me, played high school baseball in the state of Colorado. But Griffin Jacks, Cherry Creek guy, Air Force Academy, good money with me. Wish him all the success. What was that defense? Turn a routine comebacker into 3 bases for Bobby Witt Jr. His speed then turns a weak 2-strike dribbler off the bat of Vinny Pasquantino into a run. That RBI is going to look the same as all the rest of them when they come to count them all in September. And that run proved to be the difference as Cole Ragans and 3 Royals relievers combine to preserve the victory. 2-1, the final score. The Royals have won 3 in a row and are over 500 for the first time this season, 6-5. And they do so against the Twins team. And I'll have more to say about the Royals in a second, but we got to nod at this. The Twins are already teetering on the edge of hell. This is already a team that could find itself in some real trouble if they don't get it rolling soon. So they lost Pablo Lopez to injury last night. Pablo Lopez was pitching well, as he typically does against the Royals, but he had to come out in the fifth inning. He had some hamstring tightness. He was set for an MRI today. I haven't seen an update on that, but it seems likely that Lopez will head to the 15-day injured list, and that will be a big loss, certainly, for that Twins rotation. So they've got that. They made 3 errors, including one that lost them the game. Their best hitter and most expensive guy, their biggest star, Carlos Correa, is now, and I'm digging up the number here, 6 for 40 at the plate this year, and came up with an opportunity in the 8th to give the Twins the lead against John Schreiber. And how many of you watching through Royals tinted glasses were convinced that the Schreiber versus Correa matchup was maybe not going to end super well for the Royals? Because that was my thought. My thought certainly was, here it comes. Here comes the big swing. And Correa hits into a routine 6-4-3 double play to get Schreiber out of the jam. Another poor offensive performance for the Twins. They're 3-8. It could, again, be one of those cases. I think I've said it each of the last 2 days. Nobody wins a pennant in April, but you can sure throw one away. And the Twins are too talented to be one of those teams that digs themselves this kind of a ditch in April. I'll be surprised still if they don't pull their way out of it, but there are a lot of very worrying signs for this Twins ball club. They are teetering on a hellmouth right now, and the Royals have an opportunity in the next 2 days to push them in. I mean, if the Royals finish out, even a series win, has them at 4-9 leaving town, which is not what you want, but imagine if the Royals can sweep the Twins and take a 4-0 season series lead and send the Twins packing 3-10 to their next destination. Yeah, that would be a big, big problem for a team that is built to win this division. Christopher, in the YouTube comments, alludes to what I want to talk about next. He says, you kind of white-knuckled it a bit at the end. I knew they weren't going to send out Harvey, Urseg, or Estevez, they being the Royals. It was going to have to be Zerpa, Schreiber, and Lynch. So that's just it, right? The back end of the bullpen's been terrific. The big guns. I don't think HEE has the same ring to it as HDH did, but Harvey, Urseg, Estevez, those guys have been really good. Those guys can't pitch 100 games each, right? So there are going to be games like last night. There are going to be games where you don't do a whole lot on offense. It's cold, or you're up against a really good pitcher, and you don't do a lot on offense, and you have to scrape, and you have to claw, and you take advantage of defensive miscues just to even put a crooked number on the board, even if it's the smallest of the crooked numbers. And there are going to be those games where you don't have your full component of back-end guys. Maybe Estevez has worked 4 times in 6 games and he's down, or Urseg has worked 3 straight and he's not available. Q wants to give Harvey a day off, and those guys know going in, I'm not even going to put on my uniform. I'm just going to throw on my pullover and put my feet up in the bullpen because I'm not pitching tonight unless it's an emergency. And I'll have somebody run and get my jersey. It's going to be nights you have to lean on 4, 5, 6, 7 in your bullpen. And the Royals did that last night. Angel Zerpa came in despite giving up a 1-out single to, I think, the only lefty he faced, Edouard Julien. He managed to get out of that inning unharmed. John Schreiber worked around a pair of hits in the 8th, got the double play ball from Correa, and got a pair of outs in the ninth before yielding to Daniel Lynch, who retired. Julian left on left to get the 1-out save and end the ball game. Those games, and I know it's April 8th. Today is April 9th. I know that today is April 9th, but yesterday was April 8th. I know it's just a game on April 8th. I know it's just game 11 out of 162. But a game like that, you white knuckle a 2-1 win where your starting pitcher has to be that good, where your 6, 7, and 4th best relievers have to be that good and walk that tightrope, and you've got to steal a run or take a run that is gifted to you by the opposition just to get the win. Those are the kinds of games, they add up. Those are the types of games, you guys all know, I'm sure, the old baseball cliche. You divide the season into thirds, and there are 54 you're going to win no matter what, unless you're the 2024 White Sox, and then you don't even get that many. There are 54 you're going to win no matter what. There are 54 you're going to lose no matter what. The 54 in the middle determine whether or not you play more than 162. The 54 in the middle are what separate the playoff teams from the chaff. This was one of those 54. And the Royals won it because, yes, 6, 7, and 4 in their bullpen. I've bumped Daniel Lynch the 4th up. He's, I think, their 4th best guy. Yes, because they were excellent, and John Schreiber in particular gets 5 big outs in a spot where he hasn't been maybe the most trusted. But you win that game, and you also win it because you needed an ace performance from Cole Ragans, and he gave it to you. 6 innings, 1 run on 4 hits, 11 strikeouts, no walks, 16 swinging strikes. I had said on yesterday's show, want to see a little bit better command from Ragans. He was all over the strike zone last night. 63 of his 96 pitches were strikes, getting lots of swing and misses, pitching off his changeup. Really like what that pitch does to right-handed hitters. That's what separates Ragans. That's what makes him an ace. We talked about Brady Singer's inability to come up with a pitch to opposite hand hitters. That will never be a problem for Cole Ragans. He has to change up against righties. And he'll throw the slider to the back foot, and he'll throw that cutter in too to give him something a little harder that they have to worry about. But that changeup to righties is a weapon. That is one of the best changeups to me in baseball. And he showed it off. He had everything working last night. 11 punch-outs, big-time effort for Ragans, who now, through 3 starts this season, has 24 strikeouts in 16 innings. That is 13 and a half strikeouts per 9. That is a top mark in the American League so far for Cole Ragans. And as a texter points out from the 785, no walks, just as big a deal. Absolutely it is. A 24-4 strikeout to walk ratio through his first 16 innings. He was never a guy, like last year, his command was really good. He was just over 3 walks per 9. You take that. But now he's down around 2 walks per 9 so far. So, yeah, if he's sharpened up the command and he's missing more bats this year, could we see a better version of Cole Ragans than we did in 2024? It's not out of the question. Quick Royals note before we hit our first break here. The Royals have made a transaction today. Mark Canha is headed to the 10-day injured list. Believe it is a hip injury. I'm double-checking that, or at least I'm endeavoring to double-check exactly what that injury was. Does appear on the left adductor, not abductor, not a to catch a predator thing here. A left adductor strain last night suffered by Mark Canha. That places him on the IL. It's too bad. He was having some good at-bats for the Royals. I definitely could see the vision for why they brought him to the team, but he's headed to the IL, and coming up to replace him is Drew Waters. We have a question from Cody in the YouTube chat. Welcome in. Drew Waters being called up today. How big an impact is he going to have? I don't think, Cody, that Waters is going to play a lot. So far, he had hit for the cycle right down in Omaha to start the year. That caught people's attention. He was off to a really good start down at AAA, batting .370 in his first 32 plate appearances. Already 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He had a .370 average and a 1210 OPS to start his year in his first 7 games down in Omaha. It's great. It's what you want to see. He's also had good numbers in Omaha last year. Those never really translated. I think with Waters, there's just not enough bat to ball to be a really good big league hitter. Just too much swing and miss to be really effective. But where I think Waters can be useful is with his speed. He's no Tyler Tolbert, but he can give you a good pinch running appearance. He can certainly be Hunter Renfroe's glove or Jonathan India's glove in left field, or even Michael Garcia's glove if they want a more trustworthy center field option, and Isbell is off or out of the game for whatever reason. Something else they could do with Waters on the roster, they've got another guy they can go and play in center field, gives them a chance to maybe pinch hit for Isbell against a tough lefty, which is something they've been really reluctant to do over the years, even though Isbell's not going to get a hit against a tough lefty late in the game. So you get a little more roster flexibility. He is a switch hitter. You can pinch hit him against lefties or righties, but I would not expect a major impact from Waters. I think he's going to be a guy who, yeah, I'd be surprised. I would like to see him play more than Hunter Renfroe because I think we're already kind of sick broadly of what we're seeing from Renfroe, but I would expect that the lineup will probably continue to include at least one of Renfroe or Melendez every day. I think the Royals over the last 3 years that suggest that what he is a below average bat who strikes out a lot. And look, Hunter Renfroe is kind of that too, but I like I said, I would be in favor of them playing Renfroe, but they're going to give the veteran a chance to get things going. Most teams handle it that way. I don't like it, but again, that's the way most teams are wired. We'll take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with a round of one gotta go. And Luke Easterling from Athlon Sports will join us to talk draft in about 10 minutes as we get things rolling here on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. It's one got to go time on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer, I'm going to set aside the prospects that everybody has seemed to have an opinion on. The top two quarterbacks in the NFL draft, Cam Ward out of Miami, Colorado Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to set Travis Hunter aside as well because he's a unicorn. He's a one of one. I'm going to give you the next four names on Luke Easterling, who's about to be our guest. He's going to join us next segment from Athlon Sports. It's going to be the next four names on his most recent mock draft. One got to go. One, and obviously these guys are all great prospects, but one that you would set aside in favor of the other three. One got to go. Abdul Carter, the defensive end from Penn State. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Mason Graham, the defensive lineman from Michigan. Or Armand Membu, the offensive tackle from Mizzou. One got to go.
So the one is the best of those.
No. I'm saying the one that you are less sold on their value or their NFL future.
Can you repeat the last two again?
Yes. Armand Membu out of Mizzou, the offensive lineman, and the defensive lineman from Michigan, Mason Graham.
I think Mason Graham.
Interesting. Why him?
I think I'm set on all the other guys, and I think he's just the biggest question mark to me is, will he make the big of an impact as he did in college? And that's huge for a guy going top 10 in the draft, right? Like, you have great college players, you have amazing college players, but then you have guys that are just great college players, but are they really going to transition?
So my pick is Warren, and not because I don't think he's going to be a really good NFL player.
I have a bias with Warren because Warren wears 44 because of John Ragans.
Oh, okay.
So I was never
Centralia, Kansas' own.
I was never going to pick him.
Fair enough. I think he's going to be a very good NFL player. There's not really anything he can't do. I don't love him in the top 10 because I don't really think I love any tight end in the top 10. I think in terms of positional value, I would rather go get, I think Carter is by far the best edge in the draft. With respect to guys like Jalen Walker, I don't think anybody is close to Abdul Carter. I think this is a very deep defensive line draft. I don't think anybody is close to Mason Graham. I think he's the elite defensive tackle in this draft. And I feel the same way about Membu at offensive tackle, where he is the guy at left tackle. And I think all three of those guys have a chance to be franchise type of guys, where I don't think you ever say that about a tight end unless you're talking about like a Hall of Famer. And that's the kind of thing that's only really clear in retrospect. So I wouldn't say that about Warren, but I do think he's going to be a really good pro. I would hesitate. I wouldn't be thrilled if my team used a top 10 pick on any tight end. I mean, unless I knew for a fact I was getting Travis Kelce's career, I would not use a top 10 pick on a tight end. You got a one got to go today?
Yeah. This is kind of a not a legit one got to go. It's kind of a hypothetical. If there was relegation in the MLB through the first, what are we at, 13 games, about nearly 2 weeks in.
Yes.
If you had to relegate one team between the White Sox, the Braves, the Pirates, or the Rockies. I was going to not give you the Rockies, but I guess I'll throw the Rockies.
Please relegate the Rockies. Fold the franchise. Give another ownership group another chance in 5 years. Move those bums to Montreal. They struck out 14 times last night. They can't hit the baseball. They play in the most contact-friendly ballpark in baseball history. Putting the ball in play is so valuable. And those jokers can't hit the ball. They cannot hit it. They cannot make contact. They stink. I want them out of my life.
I was going to say Pirates because you are never going to put your team the way, like you're never going to design a team that could be good because your freaking owner, Bob Nutting or Ben, whatever.
Bob Nutting
just absolutely sucks. You have a beautiful ballpark. Like, and you can't get anybody to go there. You remove signs for a legend.
Yeah, they keep tripping on their own 2 feet in terms of like PR and fan relations and alumni relations. Yeah,
but like you have a beautiful ballpark that never reaches anywhere close to capacity. Maybe on opening day because you have fans that go every year to opening day.
We'll take a break. When we come back, Luke Easterling of Athlon Sports joins us to talk NFL Draft on 580 Sports Talk. Welcome back, 580 Sports Talk, 3:39 on this Wednesday afternoon. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by Luke Easterling, football writer from Athlon Sports. Does a lot of NFL draft work at Athlon Sports. You can check it out, athlonsports.com. Find him on X and Blue Sky with his name, Luke Easterling. He joins us now. And Luke, if you had to put a percentage on how certain you were that Cam Ward to the Titans will be the number one pick in the upcoming NFL draft, what percentage would you put on that right now?
I think it's north of 99 for me right now. I don't really see that changing. I think they'd have to get a massive trade package to move out of that pick at this point. I think, the big indicator was, mutually canceling their private workout with Fedor Sanders out of respect for both sides to not waste anybody's time. I think they're locked into Cam Ward. I think that'll be the pick 2 weeks from tonight.
So I guess the follow-up question with regard to Ward, do you think he is 1-1 caliber as a quarterback prospect? Do you see this as being a franchise guy or just maybe a hopeful franchise guy for the Titans?
I mean, I think he can be. I think the physical tools are definitely there. He's got the arm to do it. He's a good enough athlete to make plays outside the pocket. And I think that clutch gene where he's, he can make magical things happen in key moments and bring your team back and make comeback wins like he did at Miami. And the fact that I really like the story, right? The hard work is not foreign to this kid, going from being a no-star recruit with no offers to going to Incarnate Word and putting up video game numbers, to going to Washington State, doing it in the Pac-12, going to Miami, doing it in the ACC. And so, he's produced everywhere he's been. As a prospect, I wouldn't quite put him in that Caleb Williams, Chase Daniels, Drake May echelon that we saw last year. But again, I think he's got the goods to a point. And when you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance in the NFL. And so I think in this class in particular, for a team that desperately needs that franchise guy, I think the upside is there. I think he's got the intangibles to do it. And that's why he's going to go number one.
Luke Easterling covers football, including the NFL draft for Athlon Sports, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's shift focus to the Kansas City Chiefs, the hometown team, if you will. In your most recent mock draft over at athlonsports.com, you have the Chiefs at 31 going with Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons. First question about Simmons. Is this a guy who you think could be a day one left tackle starter if given the opportunity to win a job by the Chiefs or anybody who ended up with him?
Yeah, I really do. And honestly, the big question for him is going to be the medical. He's a guy who looked like a top 10 pick early in the season and then unfortunately had a knee injury that knocked him out for the rest of the year. So that's going to be the biggest question mark. His teams are going to have to do their homework on his recovery, his rehab, and make sure he's going to be ready and hopefully the player he was before that. Because if that's the case and you're getting him down there at the end of the first round, that could end up being a massive steal for you, especially in such a premium position that they need to fill so badly. And so as a prospect at full health, I think he's a top 15 player in this draft. Obviously, the injury will impact his stock to a point. And so if he's able to come back and be that player again and the Chiefs are able to land him there, I think that'd be massive. Obviously, that's the clear number one need for this team. They have so many areas where they're so strong, and Mahomes is always going to give you a chance. But go back and look at both of the Super Bowls in which they've gotten embarrassed by the Eagles and the Bucks before that. And you'll see it's primarily because of, a lack of a franchise left tackle that can keep him protected, but really the offensive line as a whole, allowing, premier defensive fronts that can get after the quarterback with just four guys. If you can't stand up against that, not much else is going to matter.
If for whatever reason the Chiefs didn't go left tackle at 31 or whenever they picked first, if there was a trade, what position or positions do you think it would make the most sense for them to target?
I can see them going corner. They've got Trent McDuffie, who's kind of like that eraser guy that can line up outside or in the slot. And basically, they just kind of move him around to take away whoever your best guy is, right? They'll line him up wherever you want to put Jamar Chase or wherever you want to put Justin Jefferson or Mike Evans or any of those guys, and take their chances. And so what they need, though, is another, big-time corner. They really missed prime L'Jarius Sneed this past season after trading him away. I know he had been banged up and was getting a little bit older, but if they can find that back end of the first round, I think it'd be a great spot to look for a big, tall corner with some length, some athleticism. Siobhan Revelle Jr. from East Carolina is a big, long guy. Again, guy that's coming off a knee injury but was playing like a top 15 pick beforehand and wouldn't be available otherwise. But he's a name to keep an eye on if they go corner that late.
Luke Easterling is our guest, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk, talking NFL draft with us. We have talked a lot here on this program, Luke, about the Chiefs maybe targeting a defensive tackle at number 31. Obviously, Mason Graham is kind of set apart from his peers as a defensive tackle prospect. You have him as a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft. But of the class of defensive tackles beyond that, the ones that we see in a lot of mock drafts, including yours in the 20s or the 30s or even early on day 2, who are some of your favorites of that class? Guys that you think could be day 1 starters, or guys you think that could fit what the Chiefs are looking for, somebody to play down to down next to Chris Jones?
Yeah, if I was going to pick a position group where the Chiefs might just sit at 31 and just let the board fall to them, it would be anywhere in that defensive front, because this crop of edge defenders is extremely deep, but the interior guys are extremely deep as well, and maybe the deepest class I've seen at that position in a long time of doing this. And so, yeah, I do think Mason Graham's kind of in his own conversation there. I don't know that guys like Kenneth Grant, the other Michigan guy, Derek Harmon from Oregon, I don't know if they get there. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss is a guy you probably have to have a conversation about at 31 in terms of just the upside, the athleticism. Has a lot of the same traits that made Chris Jones such an attractive pick when they took him in the second round out of Mississippi State a while back. Just a really great athlete who's still learning how to use the gifts and the tools that he has. But that range early on in the second round, I think the depth is going to push some guys down the board along the interior that I really, really like. And it depends on what type of player you need. If you need like a run stuffing type of guy, I think Tyleik Williams from Ohio State is going to be a bargain anytime on day 2. He's a guy that, again, he may not be a 10 sack a year type of guy, but on first and second down and in short yardage, when you really need a stop, he's a guy that can take on multiple blocks, command double teams, leave everybody else on your defensive front with one-on-ones and make plays even when he's not making tackles. And then if you need the other type of guy, what they call the 3 technique, the pass rushing type, explosive upfield type of guy, I like Darius Alexander out of Toledo. I like TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. Both, smaller guys than Williams. He's more of a nose tackle, but those guys are so explosive, so quick. They're versatile. They can kind of, no matter what type of defensive front you use, what type of scheme you have, those guys are going to get into the backfield and they're going to make some havoc.
Also seems to be a really promising draft for edge rushers. You have the Chiefs going in that direction at pick 63 in your most recent mock draft at athlonsports.com. Arkansas edge Landon Jackson. Tell me about him and why he might be a fit in Kansas City late round 2.
Yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing about some of these deeper mock drafts I try to do is that it's not just about, going down my rankings at each position and going each team and saying, oh, well, they need this, so here's the top guy and I'll match him there. It's really about trying to find patterns and fits with each team, because if you look back at each team's history, if the management structures have been consistent for, anywhere from 3 to 5 years, you have a little bit of a pattern in terms of the types of players they like at specific positions. Some teams want, smaller, more explosive edge guys that can drop into coverage. The Chiefs are a team that really like big, just massive guys with really long arms who can play the run tough on the outside. Look at the guys they've drafted over the last few years. Look at George Karlaftis, Felix, I can't remember his last name.
Andy DK Uzama.
There, Uzama. I knew it was a double one. That's why I couldn't remember. But the Kansas State kid that they drafted in the first round, even Tano Passanio and guys that have been later round picks, Charles Omenihu, guys that they've signed and brought in, they have a type of body style and type of skill set that they really prioritize at that position. If you look at Landon Jackson, 6'7", 280, just huge wingspan, big physical guy that can stay on the edge in the early downs, and they can slide inside on passing downs and give you some interior rush there. I just thought stylistically for the type of edge guy that the Chiefs tend to prioritize, he's a great fit there.
Luke Easterling joining us to talk NFL draft here on 580 Sports Talk. Luke covers football, including the NFL draft for athlonsports.com. You can find him on X at Luke Easterling and on Blue Sky at lukeeasterling.bsky.social. Luke, it's a good draft, particularly in the middle rounds, day 2 into early day 3 for running backs. And there are 2 local products, Devin Neal out of Kansas and DJ Giddens from Kansas State, that are receiving some draft buzz. What do you think are the ceilings for those 2 as far as where they might come off the board?
Yeah, I think Giddens is a guy who's going to be a great if he's in a role where he can be the lightning to someone else's thunder, I think he's gonna excel. I think even if he doesn't end up being, I feel like everybody is like, oh, if you're not a 3-down back who can take 25 touches a game, then you're not worth a second or third round pick. I disagree. I think he's going to be best in a somewhat committee approach where he's a 1A or a 1B to somebody else that's got some more physicality, some more power, but he can be that home run hitter with the speed and explosiveness and catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he'd be, again, even if he's not an every down starter, I think he's going to be a high impact player. Devin Neal is one of my absolute favorite players in this draft, man. I do an entire segment on my podcast, Best Podcast Available, where I just kind of stand on the table for one of my favorite guys every week. And I think Devin Neal was either the first or second guy I pointed out when I launched the show earlier this year, because, man, it's so easy at this point in the process to be so detached from what happened on Saturdays throughout the season, the previous year. And, man, if you just go put yourself back into college football season and remember what Devin Neal was doing on a weekly basis for the Jayhawks, just willing them to victory in multiple occasions, putting up huge numbers, even though he was the focal point of the offense and everybody was focused on stopping him. So, if you want faster guys, you'll find them. You want bigger, tougher, physical guys, you'll probably find them. But I just don't know if there are many more complete backs in this class who can take over a game by himself, put the team on his shoulders, carry the load. He's big enough, he's fast enough, he can pass protect enough, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, caught 20 plus passes in each of the last 3 seasons. And I think he averaged basically 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns a season for his entire career for over 4 years at Kansas. So he's a guy that I just absolutely love. When the game is on the line, you can keep your measurables. Give me that guy because I know he's going to get the job done.
All right, last one for you, Luke. We got about a minute here. The top of the draft prospects start to kind of crystallize at this time. We're about 3 weeks out of the draft now, and there starts to become a bit of a consensus as to who are the guys who are going to go in the top half of the first round, top 20 in the first round. Who's a guy that's a really well-regarded prospect in the consensus that you're maybe a little lower on, that you maybe feel a little bit buyer beware on at this point in the draft process?
That's a tough one. I think there are a couple of guys in the edge defender class that I'm interested to see where they go. Like, I'm interested to see how the league feels about them compared to how I feel about them. I think Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall, tons of production, really explosive guy. I know there's some off-field stuff that could impact there from earlier in his college career when he ended up having to transfer from Virginia to Marshall. So teams will really want to do their due diligence on that, and that could impact his draft stock. Again, in a class where there's so many talented edge guys that, like, if you're trying to break a tie, those are the types of things that move you down the board as opposed to some other guys. And Shamar Stewart is the other guy. Again, athleticism and physical tools off the charts, but like 3.5 sacks in his entire career at Texas A&M. So you kind of wonder, is he going to be able to realize those, that potential at the next level, or is he just never going to quite put it together? Those are two guys that I think some teams can have them in the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they slide all the way to the back end of the first round.
Luke Easterling covers football, including the NFL draft, for Athlon Sports, athlonsports.com. Check out his Best Podcast Available podcast. It's invaluable this time of year. Luke, thanks so much for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk today, and enjoy the rest of the lead up to the NFL draft.
Will do. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it. That is Luke Easterling. We will take a timeout, come back, wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. I had to get this into the show somehow after I saw it last night. If you were watching the NBA on TNT last night, Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller on the call from the Garden, Knicks Celtics, as the NBA season winds down. Kevin Harlan with another one for the career highlight reel. This is how it sounded on TNT Sports.
Tonight from Madison Square Garden, the NBA on TNT is brought to you by the new crispy tenders at CarMax. What? The way car buying should be. Can that be? What is that? Wait a minute. Hold on.
I'm holding.
Hold on. Are they serving tenders with cars? Are there tenders in the car?
Because if there is, you're in.
We just had the marriage of two different sponsors, and it was ugly. Who wrote that?
Anything you put on the teleprompter, Burgundy will read.
Well, yeah, that's how. So, for those of you that don't know, if you're doing play-by-play and you get sponsors, the producer or the guy next to you just hands you a piece of paper.
Yeah, you get the card and you read the card,
and then you hand back the card,
and
then you forget about it.
And I don't know how the card with spicy new crispy tenders and the card for CarMax got conflated, but they did. And later on in the game, it was Kevin Harlan with the reset.
Live from New York, the NBA on TNT is brought to you by CarMax. The way car buying and tenders should be. I just threw that into the tender. That was some poetic license on that. Thought I had to pay off the tender. Maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
And if they don't, they should.
There are a few experiences that would not be accentuated with the involvement of crispy tenders.
They better get on this. Come on.
I think that my car buying experience, my next one, whenever that may be, would certainly be enhanced if I could do it carrying around like a boat. Of tenders.
Have you been to a CarMax before?
I have not.
So it's just like a sea of cars.
Right.
So if you're just walking around with your chicken
browsing
tenders,
cars with some chicken tenders,
I'm in.
Yeah, I am too. I think that Kevin Harlan may have stumbled upon the new innovation in car buying and car sales. Add chicken tenders to the equation. Coming up in the 4:00 hour, we're going to talk about who the Chiefs don't need to draft. Plus, what is wrong with you and Tim Fitzgerald. Coming up, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you've been with us, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you being along on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, 580WIBW.com, and in living color on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is a YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook at WIBW. Can't say the name of the radio station anymore. That's kind of a problem.
Well,
Too many letters in our call sign. We need 3.
I mean,
Let's eliminate one.
I will say the Facebook is a little not aligned.
It is. It's an old brand, but it persists. WIBW News is the name of the Facebook page. WIBW is the name of the station. I can say it. I've been saying it for a long time now. I don't know why I stumbled over it there. Blame Baby Brain. Your boy had an unexpected day of daddy daycare foisted upon him today. When they closed the daycare, somebody got to watch the kid.
Yeah, that's true.
And it ain't gonna be my wife. She's watching other people's kids for a living. So it was daddy daycare open at the Lucero residence today. And this is not me complaining that I got to spend extra time with my son, who is 10 months old now and endlessly curious, but he is endlessly curious, and that means you're doing a lot of chasing and a lot of pulling him back from things and pulling him down from things. And now every diaper change is an ordeal because he wants to, like, for a while I thought we were past it. I really did, because they get to a point where you're changing them and they want to like roll over. So you got them by their ankles, like looks like they're in the walls of Jericho or the old what they used to call it, the lion tamer. Where you got both of their ankles like in the air and they're doing like scorpion. They're in the shape of a C trying to elude you. And I really thought that we had moved past that we had advanced past that phase. Now we're back in it. Every time I put him on the changing table, he wants to contort his body, roll over, and he sits up and he just looks at me. And he just looks at me with a little smirk on his face, like, yeah, I did it. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna do anything about this? I just want to sit up. I felt like it. Say something. I won't understand it anyway. I'm just 10 months old. So every diaper change is now like a WWE wrestling match to make sure we get a new diaper on him every time he needs changed. And so it's a little taxing. It's a little taxing. It takes a little bit out of you. I'm in for it again tomorrow, which thankfully we've got a late show start.
Yeah.
Royals baseball going at 1:10. So we'll be on the air around 4. So give or take. So a little less of us tomorrow than you're accustomed to, but I will be coming off of a second straight day of daddy daycare. One thing though that I have found that my son does kind of like looking at when it's up on the screen, seems to enjoy baseball. So
I was going to
ask
ask this question. So my girlfriend took off today. She had a bunch of appointments. She brought lunch, and I had the ESPN Welcome to the Masters on.
Uh-huh.
And it was, the par 3 contest, the
Sure.
family ordeal.
Par 3 today. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, did you try to sit Asher down and show him some golf on TV?
No, not today. We did, we a little music in the morning and then his sleepy time music to try and get him to nap, which we were successful. We got about he got about an 80-minute nap, and I watched something else while he napped, and then I turned on after lunch, the Tigers Yankees game. So I had that game on. I was watching. It was a good pitchers matchup. Max Fried, Jack Flaherty. I think the Yankees won. They were up 4-0 in the 9th. Last I looked, that was a while ago. So I'm presuming that they closed it out. Looks like they did barely. Tigers almost rallied in the 9th, but they finally did lose. Yankees won 4-3. But no, that's what I was watching today, and Asher did seem to enjoy it, which I appreciated. Christopher in the YouTube comments, and interact with us throughout the show in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, or text the show 785-272-9429. Christopher asks if WIBW is the only station/group in Kansas with a W start to the call letter. or the call sign. As you may be aware, the Mississippi River is the dividing line. You have the W's to the east,
Unless you're in Pittsburgh,
and you have the K's to the west. The two exceptions that everyone is aware of are us and KDKA in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that everybody knows to be different, and those, of course, are stations that are going on the air for like a century, and just didn't change when they decided to implement that system. I don't remember exactly. I used to know this stuff, but it's been pushed out of my brain by lots of things.
What I remember about this specifically when I started working here, someone did tell me that originally this station's call letters were assigned to Indiana.
Yes, the story goes that the IBW stands for Indiana Broadcast Works.
Yes.
That is the story. I have heard that may not be 100% accurate. That might be like a retrofitting of an explanation to match what the call letters actually are. But that is a story a lot of people have heard, that the IBW and WIBW stands for Indiana Broadcast Works. So, a little radio nerdery for you. Also, shout out to Trevor in the YouTube comments who says that he's been watching a lot of ball with his 3-month-old daughter. I love that. Love to hear that. Definitely your father's daughter, Trevor says. We love to hear that. Yeah, trying to get Asher into the baseball this year. We'll see. He did seem to sit and kind of chill and look up at the screen while Jason Benetti was calling the game on the Detroit TV call. So that was pretty cool. Want to give you a choose your trip keyword for the hour. We owe you a keyword here for the remainder of this 4 o'clock hour. You can go to 580wibw.com. Click on the link on the front page that says, listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. You click on that link. It takes you to a landing page. You can enter a keyword. This hour's keyword, Vegas. 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 Vegas is your keyword. So go to 580wibw.com. Click on the link that says, listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. Enter the keyword Vegas this hour until the clock switches from 4 to 5. And that will give you a chance to register to win your chance to take a trip to anywhere in the U.S. Keyword again is Vegas. Still to come this hour on 580 Sports Talk. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up. And Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, coming up as well. We're going to hear Fitz's thoughts on everything going on with K-State and the Wildcat Wrap-up. We do it every Wednesday at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Fitz will join us in about 20 minutes or so.
If I want a trip, I'd want to go to Augusta and play around. That's where I'd go.
And that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like if I could play golf anywhere in the world, that's where that's number one for me. I think that's number one for a lot of people, but yeah, it would be cool. Jake got tickets. Our old boss, Jake LeBon, he entered the lottery every year, and he actually got to go to the Masters. 18, 19 was one of those years. He got to go. He got Tuesday tickets, so the practice day, but still pretty cool.
Any day is a great day.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't matter.
Well, you get Monday or you get Sunday.
Wish Sunday, but any day is a great day.
No, that is a fact. Also, a friend of the program, Brett Maycock, used to go every year, cover Gary Woodland at the Mat. He would go when he was working at the Cap Journal, and they have a media raffle where if they draw your name, you get to play the next day. You play Monday. So you cover the tournament, and then they have a media raffle. And if your name gets picked, you get to play the 18 on Monday.
That's cool.
So, and I know Maycock got to do that at least once.
That's
which,
sick.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Because, I mean, you get to play it as it's set up for Masters Sunday before they start to, go through the process of defanging it a little bit for the members who play throughout the year. But anyhow, we're gonna talk some Masters in 5 o'clock hour. I'll give you my pick. See if I can make it 3 years in a row correctly predicting the winner of the Masters. But I did want to talk some NFL draft. We talked some in the 3 o'clock hour with Luke Easterling of Athlon Sports. Our thanks again to Luke for joining us. If you missed that conversation, it'll be up on our podcast page, 580wibw.com. It'll be on Spotify. Search for 580 Sports Talk, and our podcast feed is over there. You can also just rewind the video if you're watching on YouTube, on 580 Sports Talk, our YouTube channel. We talked some draft with Luke. He, in his most recent mock draft, has the Chiefs going with a left tackle in round 1. Most of the mock drafts, I haven't read every one of them. So if I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if you're at home saying, well, I saw a mock draft from Jethro Jones of NFLdraft.biz.ru yesterday that had the Chiefs taking a running back in number 31. I believe you, but broadly, the mock drafts that I have encountered and that I have read have the Chiefs either going with offensive tackle or defensive line at number 31. Those appear to be what the consensus draftnik identifies as the position of need for the Chiefs at number 31, or at least what the mindset of the Chiefs will be, how the board will fall for the Chiefs. Because a lot of what we have talked about as we have gone along in this process, draft is 3 weeks and 1 day away now. That's not correct. 2 weeks and 1 day away now. We have talked about the fact that the Chiefs have arranged their roster and added on the periphery of their roster such that they are not locked in to a dire need at any position. If they don't draft a left tackle at 31, they give the job to Jalen Moore. If they don't draft a defensive tackle at number 31, maybe Jerry Tillery can play starter snaps next year. They don't have to take a player at any one specific position at 31. I think that's the best way you can go into the draft, especially when you go in picking 31st, where you know you might not get a starter, where you may look at your draft board and only have, as a lot of draft experts do, 13 to 15 guys that you think are true round 1 impact players. Gives you a chance to take the guy you like the best, who's the best fit, who can contribute the most to your team, or pick a guy who might be a little raw, might have an injury concern, and you can afford to be patient with them and take a quote-unquote redshirt year with the player where they aren't leaned on in year 1, but you know you have the player option for year 5 with the first-round pick, so you're going to get the 4 years of playing time in a perfect world out of them anyway. That's where the Chiefs enter this draft. But my question, let's turn it on its head a little bit. Is there a spot where the Chiefs shouldn't be looking to draft at number 31? Obviously, quarterback. They don't need to take a quarterback.
Warner.
Okay, interesting, because that is in contrast to what Luke Easterling said. He said if they don't go left tackle, he thinks corner makes a lot of sense for them at 31. I want to hear why you wouldn't take a corner at 31.
I just think your plan, you have a plan at corner. And while you want to add a first-round talent at corner, I just don't think the Chiefs will. I think they love their plan of finding guys that can be great later on. And I think that they have they think they have more needs than corner.
Yeah, they've only drafted, the Veach regime has only made one top 50 pick at the cornerback spot, and it was Trent McDuffie. And obviously that's turned out pretty well. Yeah. But broadly, they have chosen to mine day 2 and especially day 3 for cornerbacks and find guys that fit their style and develop them. They trust their development. They trust their scouting at that position. So to that point, I would be surprised, certainly, Spencer, if the Chiefs took a corner at 31. But if there's a guy they love, could I see it as a possibility? Yeah, I could, because you're going into next year with McDuffie, with Christian Fulton, and then Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, who I think you feel positive about, hopeful about. They've played good football in their careers, but how many of them have done it for 17 consecutive games? How have either of those two guys put together full seasons where you say definitively that is an NFL starting cornerback? They have that ceiling. That ceiling exists, and I don't think it's a bad bet to bet on that ceiling. But could I understand the Chiefs saying, I don't want to make that bet. We got a guy here at 31 we really like at corner. We're going to bring him in, and we're going to have Dave Merritt coach up a guy with first round or top 32 level talent. I could see that happen. So I agree with your argument. I do. I think that the trends would suggest that the Chiefs would stay away from that position. But I don't think that's one where if the best guy on the board were a cornerback, the Chiefs would say, nah, we're good. We're fine there. I also think that's the case. I think that's the case at edge. I think that's the case at offensive tackle. I think that's the case at defensive tackle, where if the best guy on their board is a defensive tackle, they're going to take him. Wide receiver is intriguing to me because this is not as good a wide receiver class as we have seen in recent years, but the Chiefs have a long-term need at wide receiver. Do they need to keep churning through guys and make sure that they have high-end wide receiver talent? Because this might be the best place to find it is in the draft. Could that be a position where the Chiefs take a wide receiver at 31? Would that floor me? No. Would it floor me if the Chiefs had it the 31st pick and let's say North Carolina's Omarion Hampton is sitting there at running back and they took a running back at 31? Now, again, it's not really the Chiefs' MO, and the one time that they did it, they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 32nd overall, and that kind of burned them a little bit, though I don't think that was all their fault. I think Clyde had some injuries and some other things going on that limited his ceiling as an NFL player in the end. Would it be a little surprising in that light to see the Chiefs go running back at 31? Yeah, sure. But is that a position where they would benefit from adding a top 32 talent to their room? Yes. Yes, I think they would.
Hypothetical here for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
At wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
So I just did the PFF mock draft where you
Sure.
select the first round. You select whatever team you want to do. If at this current draft that I had, at 31, Luther Burden III, would you go?
It would be so hard for me not to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be somebody somewhere that falls, and if it's him, you're drafting him.
I would do it for Burden because I think he is that good.
Yeah.
Like for sure. I think he is that good. So yeah, the skill positions, wide receiver and running back, I think you set tight end aside because there's not, like, outside of Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, realistically, there's not a tight end that's like in consideration to be picked 31st overall. It's not that deep outside of the top two.
I mean, I think Loveland might make it. There's a shot.
I don't know. I think he's mid first round. I think his floor is probably early 20s.
See, I've done a couple of these,
Uh-huh.
and they have him in the mid to late 20s. Like this one, I didn't pick it. Had him going to the Commanders.
Okay.
Which is 2 picks before the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, that'd be 29. Yeah.
So
that's interesting. I have felt,
and I don't know that the Commanders would do that. I mean, because they have faith in Ben Sinnott.
Sure. But I think that
if he's there, then it's like, well, we got a franchise tight end.
There's a lot of value at 29 with a guy like Loveland, who, again, I think you're seeing him in the teens in some mock drafts too. So I set that position aside. I would also say linebacker, again, the value of a linebacker you take 31st in the draft, is that worthwhile for the Chiefs given the linebacker core they already have? Probably not. I think I'd say the same about safety, given the relative lack of depth at that position. That would be one I'd be really surprised to see them take a swing at. So the no's for me at 31 are quarterback,
running back.
No, I think if Omarion Hampton is there at 31, like that wouldn't be a must, but that would totally be an understandable pick. That would totally be a pick I could get behind. It wouldn't be the pick I would make. I still think for me, and I've been consistent on this, I think the Chiefs need to go defensive tackle at 31. I think the position, the depth at that position in the draft is such that you're going to get a day one starter at defensive tackle at 31. If it's Walter Nolan or if it's Derek Harmon sliding or Kenneth Grant sliding, I think that's the move. I think you go and you get the guy who's going to apprentice at the feet of Chris Jones. But that's me. And Brett Veach does not often do the thing that I think he's going to do. famously on this show, he has done the thing I thought he was going to do one time, and that was trade up to take Patrick Mahomes. I was right about that. And unfortunately, that tape has been lost to history. Otherwise, I'd play it every draft day. Anyhow.
I would too.
So, yeah, the no's for me are, I would say interior offensive line is a no. I like Gray Zabel of North Dakota State's a name you see a lot in the late 20s, early day 2. That would be a no. Like, I think the Chiefs are settled at interior offensive line. I think they're fine at linebacker. I think they're fine at safety. Anywhere else, you could talk me into if the right guy falls, or if the board falls in such a way that the best guy available is at those other positions, then I would be totally behind the Chiefs going in that direction.
I do have a quick question.
All right.
Based upon what Luke said earlier, as a guy that could fall maybe, what if defensive end Mike Green falls with the allegations?
I don't know enough about the allegations, frankly, to comment on those one way or another. So I'll leave that part of it alone. Like, also, we know that the Chiefs don't mind that kind of stuff. Like, violence against women, the Chiefs don't care. Like, I hate to be blunt about it, but like the evidence is there. The proof is in the pudding. The Chiefs don't care if you're violent towards women. They will draft you. They will pay you handsomely. They do not care. They didn't care about Tyreek Hill. They didn't care about Frank Clark. They didn't care about Charles Minihoo. They didn't care about Willie Gay. They don't care. So I don't think that would be disqualifying necessarily to draft him. And if he's the top edge on their board at 31, I could get behind it. I could. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You. Tim Fitzgerald's going to join us bottom of this hour for the Wildcat Wrap-up. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk. So What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. What Is Wrong With You is brought to you by our guy, Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Go to his website, RyanMowinkle.com, MOHWINKLE. See what Mo can do for you. Our current weekly champion, I got to explain what I named this one, but it's about a guy who found a flyer on his car for a tarot card reading, called the number, and the woman scammed him out of his money. Shock. A tarot card reader would scam you out of your money. The guy put $3,000 in cash in a bag with some eggs for a ritual. And at the end of the ritual, the bag was broken. And at the end, all that was left inside were broken eggs and worms.
Good.
And when the guy said, well, can I have my money back? The woman said she could not do so due to her state of mind. And she ended up getting arrested. Anyway, are you familiar with the comic strip Nancy and Sluggo?
No.
Okay, it's an old comic strip. It's been around forever and a day. There's a comic strip where Sluggo, who talks like he's got like a Brooklynese accent for some reason in these cartoons. Sluggo is being put to work at a tackle shop. And Nancy asks him, do they pay you well? And he holds up a bucket of worms and he says, they pay me in worms. And I think about it all the time. And so I have named this story, She Paid Me in Worms. She turned my money into worms. So that is our current weekly champion here on What Is Wrong With You. Shout out to Ernie Bushmiller and the comic strip Nancy. My story today, we're going to Nye County, Nevada. We meet 71-year-old Carl Mitchell, who had 7 tigers at his house. Yeah. But he said they were all his emotional support animals.
Excuse me?
Authorities raided Mitchell's home in Pahrump, a town approximately 65 miles west of Las Vegas, saying the man did not have the proper permits to keep the animals. In an interview, Nye County Sheriff Joe McGill told NBC News that the 71-year-old had been seen walking the wild animals on and off his desert property and allowing others to interact with the tigers, both of which were violations of the law. Mitchell claimed he did not need the special condition animal permits because the tigers had already been recognized by county officials as his emotional support animals. He also claimed the tigers did not pose any threat to the public. Here's a blast from the past for you. He claims that he rescued the tigers from a gentleman who goes by the name Joe Exotic. Do we all remember Joe Exotic?
COVID throwback.
Yes, like early days of COVID, we all watched Tiger King on Netflix. Joe Exotic, born Joseph Maldonado, has been in prison since 2019. Mitchell was arrested and booked for resisting a peace officer and being a felon in possession of a gun when the police raided his house. Apparently, some of the big cats appeared to be malnourished. There was algae in their water dishes. They have all been taken to an undisclosed sanctuary where they will be held until ordered to be released. So hope for a happy ending for those tigers and that Carl can find some different kinds, more appropriate kinds of emotional support animals. I call the story Tiger Prince. What have you got today?
Well, this is my story. This segment brought to you by Ryan Mowinkle. A man just doesn't learn his lesson. We're going to Florida. We're going to hear from our favorite sheriff in Florida. It's been a while since
Grady Judd, huh?
Sheriff Grady Judd. But a man in Polk County, Florida, Lakeland to be exact, is in jail for the 21st time after deputies say he stole an SUV along with other items during his latest crime spree. Michael Reading's latest arrest came as the sheriff's office says a construction crew at a park showed up for work on April 1st and discovered a generator along with several Milwaukee brand power tools were missing after they had been stored in a locked trailer the previous day. Then on April 7th, the owner of a 1989 Ford Bronco told PCSO the vehicle was stolen from a gas station in Auburndale after it broke down the previous day. Deputies say surveillance video showed a gray 2000 Ford Ranger pickup towing the Bronco away. After discovering the Ranger was registered to a Winter Haven man, deputies say the man told him he had sold that truck to a man named Mike. Investigators matched the contact information provided by the man to Michael Redding, 50. Detectives then visited his home where they say they found the Ford Bronco, a generator, and power tools, all of which match the description of the stolen items, along with the Ford Ranger seen on video towing the Bronco, which had its tag removed. Redding claimed he was in the hospital at the time of the theft from the construction site, but deputies say evidence did not support his claim and he was arrested. Sheriff Grady Judd issued a statement saying, quote, Michael Redding is one of those criminals who simply does not hesitate to steal, cheat, and lie. He has lived a life of crime and has shown no remorse nor any indication that he will change his criminal ways. It is apparent that the only way to keep him from committing crimes is to keep him locked up. This time his charges included 2 counts of burglary, grand theft of a motor vehicle, grand theft, conspiracy to commit grand theft, and operating unpermitted landfill.
21 arrests. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Career criminal, I believe the name.
That
for
rap
those folks.
sheet is long.
I'm going to lean with the guy at his emotional support tigers today. Like 1 emotional support tiger, I could buy. 7, that's a lot. But I do not think that beats the gentleman who decided he would call a tarot card reader after getting I'll just read what the judge in question said. Mindy Glazer, quote, okay, I had a chance to review this very interesting arrest affidavit, which also makes one realize you should never respond to a flyer left on your vehicle for tarot card readings because you don't know what's going to happen, especially when you're asked to bring $3,000 in cash and put the money in the bag with some eggs. I think the judge said a mouthful there. I think that's going to continue on as our winner. She paid me back. She turned my money into Wimes. That continues as our What Is Wrong With You winner, brought to you by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give him a call today, 785-273-1572. Tim Fitzgerald joins us next for the Wildcat Wrap-up on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, where he and his staff cover the Cats like nobody's business. He joins us every Wednesday at this time for the Wildcat Wrap-up. Fitz, let's start with the latest transfer portal happenings for K-State basketball. How surprised were you that Brendan Housen entered the portal?
I was. I didn't see it coming. I understand it was self-generated. It wasn't like he was asked to leave. He had a place on this team. And I think this is a case of an agent shopping a player around to see what he could get and the player deciding, hey, maybe I can go get some more somewhere else, which I find disappointing because every indication was he was happy at K-State. Heck knows he got one whale of a chance. I thought he played too much, to be real honest. So I don't know where he's going to end up and how that'll impact his minutes, his scoring. But I bet you it'll be a positive impact on his wallet, because that appears maybe to be the motivation.
So 1 3-point gunner out, 1 3-point gunner in. Former Monmouth Hawk Abdi Bashir is the first commitment out of the transfer portal to Jerome Tang's Wildcats. What is K-State getting in Bashir besides a whole lot of 3-point volume?
Yeah, he shot the ball a lot. He had a lot of turnovers. He had some defensive issues. All indications of a good player with an ability to score playing on a bad team. His role on that team apparently was take a lot of shots and score, and don't waste your energy on much else. Because he turned the ball over too much. He wasn't maybe as high a percentage shooter as you want, but he did shoot around the 38% range from three. So if that selection improves, maybe his percentage will improve. But this isn't a trade. These were unrelated things. So I think K-State's still guard shopping out there. They need scores, they need shooters. Is how they apparently need one more. But I like Bashir a lot. But if you're looking for the star, kind of a centerpiece, this ain't your guy. This is another Max or C.J. Jones, one of those guys that can come in and help you in a number of ways, but isn't going to be your main character of your story.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, our guest here on 580 Sports Talk. This is the Wildcat Wrap-up. We do it every Wednesday at this time. Hawson and Buddy Rich, both in the portal, and Rich was certainly expected. Hawson, as we talked about, maybe wasn't, but there are still some guys on this K-State roster that either felt like it was very possible they were going to get in the portal, or maybe holding your breath and hoping they didn't go in the portal. But right now, it's just Hawson and Rich. Do you expect that to hold? Will there be more players in the portal, or is Jerome Tang having a little bit of success recruiting his own roster right now?
You come down to this: is Bayfall or Anienso? Lord, I knew how to say that and still couldn't say it. Are either one of those guys going to go into the portal? And maybe they're torn about it. I think both of them kind of had indications they were going to do that, but now there's only two big guys really on this roster. So, maybe that's encouragement to stay. K-State's going to go get a guy or two, but I don't know what their status is. I would have expected one of those guys at least to leave. I guess I still do, but I am a little surprised that we haven't seen action on that front.
What does that say about the process and Jerome Tang and the staff that is still intact there at K-State? What does that say about their ability to recruit their own roster and maintain some of those commitments, even if there are, I don't want to spike the football yet on this roster, and there's but so much football spiking you could do about a team that missed the NCAA tournament staying intact. But at the same time, there are good players. You like to keep some continuity, and largely it feels like K-State's going to manage that to a certain degree that is really rare at this point. And what do you think that stands as a credit to?
Just a change of approach. That's all. I think they could have kept more guys in the past. I think there was a feeling that trying to upgrade every position through the portal was tangible and realistic and workable, and it didn't work out. So now they've changed to this. Honestly, there's some guys that need to move on. Buddy Rich was one of them. He just wasn't happy at K-State, and he wasn't putting in the work at K-State, and the coaches weren't happy with him, and he wasn't happy with the coaches. That divorce needed to happen, and I wish him luck. He's a tremendous basketball player when he's locked in and focused. So I don't know. Honestly, Dan, I don't know what the answer is to that, because we haven't seen this yet from Kansas State's coaching staff. This is a first, but they still have plenty of openings to try to fill on this roster. And so they have to go find dudes. And heaven knows they need more dudes.
We're joined by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. One of those dudes could be Virginia transfer Elijah Saunders. According to John Rothstein this morning, Kansas State's in a group of 5 that he's considering. Have you done any little research on Saunders? How do you think he'd be a fit for this K-State program?
I haven't. I'll be real honest. I haven't, because I've changed my approach on a lot of these things. I've come to learn that so many of these players just have their agent list cool. Like, they reached out to me. So maybe he's a little more tangible, and I need to dig in and do research. But we're going to see this pop up. A lot of guys will pop up with K-State because, to be blunt, K-State was paying big numbers last year. They're not going to be doing that to the same level this year, or certainly not to the same effect in the marketplace this year, because they don't have that kind of money in comparison to everyone else. But if you're a player, you're kind of wise to lead, list K-State, because then it kind of raises maybe the bounty on you, because then people know that K-State will pay for players.
And then moving over to the women's side, it seems like the last few days, a lot of players have hit the portal. Obviously, when we talked last week or a couple weeks ago about Brayley Glenn, but you have, a few players in the last couple of days that have hit the portal. How do you think that affects the way Coach Mitty's going to project his roster for next year?
I'm really surprised at the number of returning players who have opted to leave. And I'll be honest, I don't understand what's going on here. Maybe they're recruiting at such a high level that these players know they're not going to see the floor. Maybe they've been asked to leave. I don't know. But you just had a Sweet 16 team, and now this has turned into basically an entire rebuild. Your only returning starter out. You're another player who has redshirted but has started in the past out. You get some key backups now out. Your entire front line is basically gone now. So it's going to be interesting to see how exactly they rebuild this roster and who they have coming in and where this puts the program.
We are joined by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com here on 580 Sports Talk for Wildcat Wrap-up. If I could double back to the men for one more basketball question, it sounds like there's a pursuit of a couple of overseas players, international players for K-State and their men's basketball program right now. They haven't done a ton of that. David Gasson, of course, is from the Netherlands, but he was already stateside. He was at Virginia Tech when K-State recruited him. It sounds like there are some players who might be coming directly from Europe with some interest in K-State. Where have those recruiting efforts come from? Who's spearheading those? And how realistic are the chances that K-State has a bit more of an international flavor next year?
Yeah, it's an interesting development. They've had international players, as you mentioned, but they've all been transfers from other American institutions. They're going right to the vine now with players playing in the European League, and you're going to have to actually buy out contract, is my understanding. And look, you got to go find players wherever you can find the players. I don't care if it's on Mars. You just need better players, and I do feel like going over and getting some foreign players and getting some more of that energy, more experience with, in terms of the level at which they played and how it might translate to the Big 12. So I'm anxious to see how that all pans out and where that puts K-State in, or if they're done. I imagine it's dream dallying over there, turning away with some of this, but I'm not real sure on that either, because they just haven't done this, so it wasn't on our radar until this popped up earlier this week.
Flipping to football, as spring practice continues for K-State. Today was the best of the media availabilities because it was Van Malone, right? Like this is the best day to go and sit in the press conference room, the Steel and Pipe film room, and when it's Van Malone behind the mic.
Yeah, it's always good. He always comes prepared with stuff to say, and lots of jokes. He started this one with a birthday poem to our friend D. Scott Fritchen, who turned 50 today. I don't know how that happened. He was my first young guy I hired when I started my company, and now he's 50. So that'll make you feel really stinking old. But Van was good, but he was a little cautious today with some of the stuff he said and how much he shared. It wasn't a session where we learned a whole lot about the team, to be real honest. But we had some good players come in, and we've got coverage of a Go Power Cat, but it wasn't the most informative of press conferences today.
Of the players who spoke today, who are you most interested to hear from and kind of see in person? Because you're seeing these kids. Sometimes it's for the first time since the football season ended, and some of them go through some physical transformations in the process.
I noted on my Power Talk that's about to go live at Go Powercat that you had Andrew Langang, who I spoke with because I wanted to talk about the offensive line a little bit, and then three guys known by their first name. You had Toby, Chidi, and Dylan. And the first two of those guys looked huge. They looked, the off-season training, those guys are massive defensive ends for Kansas State. And they finally look like they got guys that match up to what I see from other programs, to be real honest. But I think, getting back to your questions, Dylan Edwards and how he fits into this offense, and we saw his diversity on full display for the first time in the bowl game against Rutgers, and how does that translate now to week in and week out, getting on the field and playing football games? That's a big question. He always handles himself so well in the media room. He's well trained in how to answer questions and how to kind of be patient and communicate. But I'm really excited to see what he's like, not just on the field, but in a Matt Wells offense, and how that might bring out even more of Dylan's special abilities.
Tim Fitzgerald and the crew cover the Cats at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Become a VIP subscriber today. There's good stuff behind the paywall, including more details about the international recruiting that the Kansas State basketball team is currently doing. And, of course, you can always read Fitz stuff, listen to Fitz's stuff, watch Fitz's stuff over at GoPowerCat.com, and check him out right here on 580 Sports Talk every Wednesday. Fitz, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, boys.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, and put a wrap on this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. .455 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you today. We'll be on late tomorrow after Royals baseball. Friday, it will be myself and Brendan Dworzinski, voice of the Ichabods, hanging out at Yager Stadium. We'll have a shortened show due to Royals baseball from 3 to 4:30 on Friday, but we will spend that time out at Yager Stadium getting folks fired up for the Washburn football spring game. Year number 1 under new head coach Zach Watkins, who will join us on the show. And we're really looking forward to being out there. Going to be a fun afternoon, going to be a fun evening. Friday night, 6 o'clock is when the spring game itself gets underway. And it's going to be a fun time, fun community event as the Ichabods strap up and play a little football, a little spring football. It's a game format, so you're really going to see some some 11-on-11 stuff out there and get your first look at a new era of Washburn football. And we'll be there ready for it here on 580 Sports Talk. We very much look forward to the opportunity to be out there on Friday. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour of this show, we'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, as we always do. I'm going to pick my Masters winner. Spencer, you can pick a Masters winner, too. I didn't mean to monopolize that segment. There was never...
No, it was the whole intent. Dan's like, I'm going to be selfish so I can make everyone money. No,
well,
I get it.
I do want to make people money if I can. I've made myself money the last 2 years because I've correctly picked the Masters champion. But Spencer, is there a golfer from the DC area or a Marshall grad playing in the tournament? Because I bet you could give us their score to par exactly, and we could make some cash on that.
Sadly, no.
No, man, that's too bad. But no, we'll since that's of course your gambling area of expertise. But no, we'll preview the Masters. Look forward to the tradition, unlike any other. Give you a pick, let you know who I think is going to win at Augusta this coming weekend. We'll also preview Game 3 of the Royals Twins series. The Royals try to solve maybe their primary pitching nemesis in all of baseball. Nobody has the Royals number quite like Joe Ryan, and he's on the bump at the K tonight. And why Joe Ryan? I don't know, but the numbers don't lie. That dude owns the Royals. Can they solve him tonight and earn a series win of the 4-game set at the K? We'll break it down later on. Plus, we'll have another Choose Your Trip keyword top of the hour. Your text, your YouTube comments. We'll have a fun final hour on this Wednesday edition of 580 Sports Talk coming up next. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this hump day edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you being aboard on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Online, worldwide at 580WIBW.com. And on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And on Facebook at WIBW News. Two-man game today. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, Brendan Dworzinski off today and tomorrow. He'll be back with us on Friday. 580 Sports Talk, not to my regret, sponsored by the new crispy tenders at CarMax. I'd love to get some of that CarMax chicken tender money. Do you remember the tweet?
If only there was CarMax around
here. Do you remember the tweet? It was around when, like, you remember when the Popeyes chicken sandwich first hit the streets? That hit like crack in the 80s.
Yeah,
like
you couldn't find it anywhere.
No, man.
And their drive-through lines were out the wazoo,
yeah,
like Chick-fil-A is on a normal day.
It took a long time for the chicken sandwich to arrive in Topeka, but it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Excuse me. Anyhow, so that was around the time everybody was rolling out chicken sandwich. Like, that was the whole thing. And there was a guy on Twitter at the time. Now it's X. The guy on Twitter who posted, just tried the new chicken sandwich at AutoZone. and it went viral. And then there was a whole Saturday Night Live sketch on that premise. Like you try the new J.C. Penney hard seltzer.
Yeah.
The police.
Well, now that's a thing too. Is like everyone's coming out with hard seltzers.
Yeah, that was a big deal around that time as well. So that was my first thought when I heard Kevin Harlan do that read on last night on TNT, where somebody slipped in the wrong car and he did the read for crispy tenders from CarMax. I thought about the chicken sandwich from AutoZone. We're close. We're very close. For the record, again, if chicken tenders were part of the car buying experience, I think it would be a better experience for everybody involved. You know, you go to a dealership. It's been a long time since I bought a car. Like I bought the car I currently have in 2016. It's been a long time since I bought a car, right?
It's been about 3 years for me.
So, but like I remember like the process. You go to the showroom, like they offer you a bottle of water. There's a little waiting in the staging area. They might have like one of those like old timey like popcorn carts.
Yeah,
you fill up some popcorn, you get a little snack. They try to make you comfortable because they want you to buy a car from them.
I got a story about that too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so 2022 February, I got into a car crash. So my car totaled. So I was looking at cars and used cars, whatever. And this one lot by where it was a Toyota Chevy dealership, but they had a used car lot with used cars under 10K, and that was kind of
your price range at the time.
Yes, was like the 12 max, right? So there's like 4 or 5 cars that were in that range that looked decent and that I would want to drive. So I went up in there, and I was like, yeah, can I get a test drive? So the guy that I got was a brand new car salesman.
Okay.
So we drove around the entire town, and he didn't even seem to care like where I drove the car. He was just like,
he's trying to make the sale.
He thinks that he can make a sale because I told him
he's the new guy. He's trying to close.
Yeah. So we drive around the entirety of this town, and he's like, so I do this after I get off work. We had no game that day. It was like 3:30. So I don't get home until 7:30 or 8 o'clock because I'm sitting in the dealership for 3 hours for them trying to get me to sell me this car. And I'm like, the whole premise was I was just going to go look. My dad was going to come in town over the weekend.
Sure.
And we were going to double down on everything. And the guy was like, yeah, it's an amazing deal. They did advertising where I worked. So I told them that. And they're like, we gave you an amazing deal. How about you go in the car, sit in there, call your parents, talk to them about it. And then so that was the manager. The manager took over, wanted to close the deal for him.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not buying it. He's like, this is a once in a lifetime where it's going to go up by 35% tomorrow.
They're trying to bully you. You're in your early 20s.
Yeah. I was getting straight up bullied by this car deal. And he goes, I sold your boss this blah, 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 his wife's car. because they were all like a big group around town, had just bought up all these car dealerships. So the manager was like the regional manager. So he was hopping from dealer to, oh yeah, I sold your boss that 20 red whatever car. You know, we put him in there. We got to put you in this car tonight. Like blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not getting. And they were so relentless. I finally walked out of there, and I almost trashed them on the air, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it's a smart move. Always smart to not do that. Yeah, man, that's car. The car sales game is particularly like they smell blood in the water. They smell chum in the water.
Oh yeah,
and if you're 23 years old, or you're a young man of any kind, you are chum.
Well, then I went to a local spot, little used car spot. You know, like been there for 30 years. Great, like family owned. The guy that literally sold me my car was a year younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Like I still talk to them now.
It is possible, in fact, to have a good experience.
Yes, like it was a great experience. Like before I moved out here, I literally went by and hung out with them for like an hour. Like,
love that.
So much better than the experience at an actual car dealership.
Love that. We've got some sports to get to here in the final hour of 5A Sports Talk. We do. We're going to talk Royals. Royals coming up tonight when we're done. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch, just like the last two nights. Royals baseball against the Twins, trying to make it 4 straight wins on the season and secure a series win in this 4-game set over the Twinkies. We will preview it later on. It's again 6 o'clock pregame and a 6:40 first pitch from the K tonight. Also, talk golf because the Masters tees off tomorrow morning. We're going to give you our Masters picks. I am hoping to make it 3 straight years where I correctly pick the winner. I gave you John Rahm in 2023. I gave you Scotty Scheffler in 2024. Who am I giving you this year? You're just going to have to find out. But first, as always, we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We want to hear from you throughout the hour today. Get in on the YouTube chat. If you're watching on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the show, 785-272-9429. Got a couple Big 12 basketball headlines to start the 580 Sports Talk headlines today, so I'll just lump 2 stories into one. First, from ESPN, JT Toppin, Big 12 POY, to play junior season at Texas Tech. Toppin announcing today he will return to the Red Raiders for his junior season, which cements his position on the preseason All-America team and likely puts Texas Tech into a lot of preseason top 10 conversations. Toppin won the Big 12 Player of the Year in his first year in Lubbock after he played his freshman year at New Mexico. Averaged 18-9, led the Red Raiders to a 28-9 record in an Elite Eight appearance. He averaged 19-11 in the NCAA tournament. By the time the season ended, because he got better as it went along, like JT Toppin, we knew would help Texas Tech, but he wasn't on anybody's. I don't even think he was preseason all conference. And I don't think he was on anybody's radar as conference player of the year until about mid-season. But he started putting up numbers on numbers. He had 41 points against Arizona State. He had 32-12 against Oklahoma State. He had 30-14 against Colorado. Just monster numbers. And he continued that into the NCAA tournament. Very likely he could be a first-team All-American next year, and he's going to play at Texas Tech. And the reports are that the NIL compensation for Toppin is in the neighborhood of $4 million, which will make him one of, if not the highest paid college basketball players in the country next year. We know Texas Tech has some NIL money. We know they're not afraid to throw it around. We know they're not afraid to throw it around in other sports. Hello, Nyjah Kennedy, Peak his own, pitching for the Red Raiders this spring in softball, has the Red Raiders at the top of the Big 12. So I'm not surprised that Texas Tech found the money in the war chest. I say good for JT Toppin. You get $4 million right off rip instead of taking it to the NBA draft, where I think a lot of people thought he might test the waters. Little undersized at 6'9", 225. He's not a real good shooter. Career three-point percentage is around 33%. So he's not got maybe the elite size. He's not like a slam dunk NBA prospect like Igor Demon from BYU. considered a possible lottery pick. Nobody was talking about JT Toppin as a lottery pick. So he gets to go back to college. He gets paid handsomely. Going to make Texas Tech hell on wheels to deal with. I do wonder if the amount of money laid out for Toppin is part of the reason why Darian Williams, his running mate for the Red Raiders this season, is in the portal. I wonder if, they got money, but they've only maybe got enough star money for one guy at a time, and maybe Darian Williams wants to go be the man somewhere else, where, like, I think both guys are good enough to be the man. And I think Texas Tech, call another donor. Call some more of that oil money. If they can keep both of those guys together, I will pick Texas Tech to win the Big 12 next year without a moment's hesitation. If they can keep those two guys. Without a moment's hesitation, I will pick Texas Tech as my preseason pick to win the Big 12. That is that news. Also from the world of recruiting high school kids, also from ESPN.com, Arizona lands 5-star prospect over USC, the number 2 player available in the senior class who had yet to commit. Braden Berries, a 5-star guard, committed to Arizona on Wednesday. He is Arizona's second top 15 addition in recent weeks. Koa Pete picked the Wildcats in late March. Berries, 6'4" combo guard from California, was McDonald's All-American, ranked number 11 in the ESPN Top 100, and is considered one of the most gifted scoring guards in the class of 2025. Arizona with 2 top 15 prospects in the fold for next season, including top 50 prospect Dwayne Aristode and 4-star wing Bryce James. His dad. Obviously, Arizona's losing a lot. Caleb Love graduates. Henry Basar's already hit the portal. I think that's a huge loss for them. He's going to North Carolina. But they do bring Jalen Bradley back. Tobe Awaka's back in the post. Del Orso should be back. Carter Bryant may come back. He's a possible draft pick, but he could come back. And they're putting together a really impressive class. So, going to get harder and harder to compete at the top of the league. I'll throw in one more headline. I don't have it in front of me, but there was big transfer news yesterday. We talked about Houston in the wake of losing the national championship. They were going to lose LJ Cryer. They might lose Milos Uzan. They're going to need another guard. They found their other guard, a guard who's going to make it really hard to root for them next year. Pop Isaacs, former Texas Tech guard, former Creighton Blue Jay, who got hurt right after he helped Creighton beat KU this last year. I think it was the last game he played in, actually, this past season for Creighton. Hit the portal again. He's going to Houston. Pop Isaacs will play at Houston next year. I am fascinated to see how that personality meshes with the personality of Houston basketball. Because Pop Isaacs thinks the best player in America every single night is Pop Isaacs. And on the one hand, you love that confidence if you can rein it in. On the other hand, it can be a little much. Certainly for me, I'm not a fan of Isaacs. I think he's got some game. He's a good shooter. I don't think I think he's an irrational confidence player more so than he's a positive confidence guy. And I won't enjoy watching him as much as I enjoyed watching LJ Cryer at the helm of that Houston offense. But look, further proof. Big 12 is loaded for bear at the top next year. Houston with a big ad. JT Toppin coming back to Tech. And Arizona put together one of the best freshman classes in the country, along with Houston, who's got the number 2 ranked class in the country, according to 24/7 Sports. So it's hell out there in the Big 12, I guess, is the summation of my headlines. Give me your first headline today.
Well, speaking of 24/7 Sports, this published on fog.net, but it was a national 24/7 Sports story. The national rankings for the 2025 class are not yet final, but 24/7 Sports has gone ahead and made Darren Peterson the number 1 prospect in their rankings. It's their final class rankings, I believe. The final rankings for the class of 2025 overall prospectus will come out in May, but basically he jumps AJ Dibansa to be the number 1 ranked player in the class of 2025 after all he's done the last few weeks. From when he was in Lawrence for that tournament to the McDonald's All-American game to the national, what was it? The Nationals.
The Chipotle Nationals? Yeah. I'm not surprised, I suppose, that this ended up happening, given the quality of his performances on a grand scale, on a national scale over about the last month. And it's not to say that Dybance's stock has fallen in any meaningful way. It's just that Peterson's has exploded.
Exactly.
And again, I think that there is a chance that he has the kind of impact on Kansas this coming season. And they're different kinds of players. This is not me comparing them apples to apples as players, but a similar impact that Cooper Flagg had on Duke this last year, where he's the best guy on a team that makes a deep March run. And he's a first-team All-American. He's a Player of the Year candidate. I think all of those things can happen for Bucket Jones, just given how he has performed under some bright lights and how I think his game projects and how I think Bill Self is going to end up surrounding him this coming season. I'm all the way in on Bucket Jones. I'm sold. I'm totally sold that he's going to be that guy. Next headline for me, we go to ESPN for this one, and we love a bizarre injury story, and nobody gives us more of those than baseball. I don't know why. It's just because there's more games, longer season, and just their business gets put out there more. So, like, we know, okay, like in hockey, we never know, right? This player has a lower body injury. He's out for a game or maybe a month or maybe he'll never play again, but it's a lower body injury. And that's all we're obligated to tell you. Basketball, football, like, yeah, turf toe or whatever. But in baseball, we always know, oh, yeah, this guy missed a game because he was trying to iron his shirt while he was wearing it.
Yes.
Or this guy missed a game because he was cutting jalapenos and scratched his eye and got jalapeno juice in his eye and it burned and he can't see. I think that happened to Ken Griffey Jr. Or this guy missed the game because he had a nightmare and he thought spiders were chasing him and he was running away from the spiders and he crashed through a glass table and he got some cuts and he couldn't play. That happened to Glenn Allen Hill. The stuff that really happened. Anyway, the latest that we have is a bout of food poisoning for Cody Bellinger of the New York Yankees, who did not play on Tuesday for the Yankees against the Tigers. He was back in the lineup today due to food poisoning because he ate some room service chicken wings that did not agree with him. And the headline is Yankees Cody Bellinger swears off chicken wings after food poisoning. For 5 years, he says. Bellinger said they were traditional bone-in wings with no sauces, spices, or rubs. They were good coming in, Bellinger said Wednesday, but I woke up at 4 a.m. sweating and just started throwing up for a few hours. It was a tough morning. Quote, I can say I will not eat wings for 5 years. I swear, because the thought of it right now makes me sick. I bring up this headline. One, if you couldn't tell, slow news day. Second, could you go 5 years without eating wings?
No. I want wings right now.
I do too. I'm thinking about chicken wings and it makes me want chicken wings.
I had Chick-fil-A for lunch, but I want chicken wings right now.
Hey, listen, there no rule says you can't have chicken for 2 meals.
Oh, we already are.
Yeah, I couldn't go 5. Like, I get them lodged in my head as an idea, like I want wings. And then it's like all I can think about until I get to have wings.
Yeah.
There's no way I could go 5 years. I don't care how dirty room service chicken wings in Detroit, Michigan did me. I would not blame the humble chicken wing for that.
I would blame the place I got it from.
I might swear off room service for a while.
I might, yeah.
Very easy for me not to do room service for 5 years. But
well, not if you're a baseball player.
Yeah, if you're a baseball player, kind of a must, right? Yeah, man, I could not do 5 years without chicken wings. Just absolutely not. No chance. None.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah, man, it makes me want chicken wings. And it's ridiculous. I just read a story about a guy who got so sick he couldn't play baseball because he was puking all night. And my thought is, man, I could go for like some garlic parm wings.
Yes.
Maybe a little like hot honey garlic at Wings, etc., or just a simple, humble buffalo wing.
So recently, I jokingly told my girlfriend, this was when the whole like Hooters potentially going out of business thing was happening.
Oh, they're going bankrupt, like that.
Yes, but like it was like the news, like what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Uh-huh.
And so the first night we lived in Topeka, or I moved to Topeka. We stayed in a hotel right there off 70, and we didn't want to venture anywhere else. So we went to Hooters.
Sure.
And I had their wings. So now like it's like a joke that we talk about. And now it's like Hooters wings. So good.
They are good. Verifiably.
Yes.
There are other things that have contributed to their business model being successful for as long as it has been.
Yes.
But also the wings are good.
Yes.
The wings are good. I do. There are a lot of good places to get wings in Topeka. Where it's a good wing town. The Wing Fest they do every year. Like, it's a good wing town.
They do a wing fest?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I knew that.
Yeah, you did know that.
Yeah.
Like October, I think I want to say.
Yeah, I missed it last year.
Yeah, I missed it too. I had a young child, hoping when he gets to chicken wing eating age, I can make it
Hopefully
a father-son thing.
Hopefully he likes chicken wings.
He likes a lot of things. There's not a lot of stuff Asher doesn't like. He's a big kid. So he's not turning down a lot of the stuff we put in front of him. Trying to think what the one thing he didn't like, and this to make Brendan laugh because he doesn't like these either. He didn't really like carrots.
Yeah, I'm not a big carrot
You're not
guy.
feeling carrots. But he's come around. Like, he's starting to like at least try them, and maybe it's not going to be his favorite thing ever. But when we first tried to give him carrots, he was like, absolutely not. But that's been the only thing that he's flat out been like, nope, get that away. I won't even.
Yeah.
But the brain is still developing, and our taste change as we go. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk headlines. Like I said, slow news day.
580 Wing Talk.
580 Wing Talk. We'll take a break. When we come back, a tradition unlike any other starts tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I can make it 3 straight years correctly picking the winner of the Masters. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. .30 on 580 Sports Talk, bottom of this 5 o'clock hour. Dan and Spencer with you until 6 o'clock when we'll hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network. Game 3 of 4 tonight between the Royals and the Twins at the K. Royals have won the first 2, 3 in a row overall, looking to extend those streaks tonight. More about that in a little bit. The Masters tees off tomorrow morning in Augusta, Georgia. And the last 2 years, I have accurately projected on this program who would win the Masters. Now, it is not as though I have taken some sleepy dark horse to have them win on like plus 10,000 odds. It's not like if I was sitting here 2016 said, I got a hunch about this Danny Willett guy, and then he wins the Masters. Or 2019 sitting here and telling you, I believe in Tiger Woods, and then having him do it. So, like, the degree of difficulty the last 2 years hasn't been particularly high. It's been a very simple thought process for yours truly. The best golfer playing the best golf is the best bet at Augusta because it requires really, 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 really good golf. And so with that thought process, I picked Jon Rahm 2 years ago. I think it was plus 900 and he won. And then last year, Scotty Scheffler had even shorter odds to win. He was plus 450 last year when I picked Scotty to win his second in 3 years, and he did. So only one other guy win 3 in 4 years. That would be Jack Nicklaus. And it's hard to win them back to back. I'm trying to think who's won it back to back other than Jack. Tiger ever do it back to back? I'm trying to remember if he did it back to back. I'm looking at the list now to see if he ever did. He did. 0102, he won them back to back. Nick Faldo won it back to back, 89-90. Nicholas 65-66. That's it. Those are the only guys who won the Masters in back to back years. So hard thing to do. Those are the historical challenges in front of an already two-time Masters champion, Scotty Scheffler. Still in all, he's the betting favorite. All odds this segment, by the way, from Prairie Band Sportsbook up at Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta. Scotty's plus 500 on the board, the favorite. Rory McIlroy checks in at plus 600. Collin Morikawa plus 1,200. Jon Rahm plus 1,600. Ludwig Åberg and Bryson DeChambeau both at plus 1,800. So that's your top six in the odds.
I like the odds.
I'm not going with the long odds guy. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going with the guy that you said though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going with.
Hopefully, we don't have the same person.
Well, maybe you want to have the same person as me because I picked the winner the last 2 years. That's the whole conceit of the segment. Is like you want to get behind me.
But then it seems like I'm copying you, even though I've done my own research.
Well, you can share your own research.
Just like Brendan and I both picking Duke and having half the same bracket for March Madness.
I wasn't around for any of that. So I don't know if you guys are copying off of each other's homework. That's your business.
Definitely not.
So here's the thing. Had the rug pulled with Rory McIlroy at Augusta over and over and over again. Yeah. Over and over and over again. You want to believe in him. It's the only major he's missing to complete the career Grand Slam. He's never won there.
He'd be the sixth golfer to do so.
He would be the sixth golfer in history to pull it off. He underwhelmed there last year. He has traditionally not started well, kind of played his way out of relevance and played his way maybe back into like a scorecard top 20 by the end of the tournament. Comes in with a bit of an elbow issue that he said was nagging at him in Houston at the Houston Open when he played 2 weeks ago. 10 years, going on 11 now, that McIlroy hasn't won a major, and that continues to hang like the sword of Damocles over him. You especially saw it last year when he gagged away the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. But Rory is the best golfer playing the best golf. So what do you do with that? Do you take the best golfer playing the best golf, or do you say, Rory, I've seen your movies. You're going to shoot a 73 on Tuesday, a 74 on Thursday. You're going to shoot a 74 on Friday, and we're not going to see any of the shots you hit Saturday and Sunday because you'll be out of the mix. And it comes down to this for me. I want to believe in Rory McIlroy. I want to see him make a Sunday charge. I want to see him put on that green jacket and shed those decade-long major championship demons. I do not think that Rory McIlroy is a perfect human being. I think he is very much a human being. He might be the most human guy on the PGA Tour, given what we've come to learn about him over the last handful of years.
Oh, yeah.
He cares a lot. And sometimes that's a bad thing. I think one of Scotty Scheffler's great strengths as a player is he doesn't really seem to care if he wins or not. In terms of like the weight of legacy, that's not something that bogs him down. I think it bogs Rory McIlroy down. I think he cares a lot about his place in golf history and is very aware every time he tees it up at Augusta that his place in golf history isn't complete without one of these. But he's the best golfer playing the best golf. And I have to pick the best golfer playing the best golf because I've done it the last 2 years. And that's not to say Scotty's not playing really good golf. He's playing outstanding golf. But you know what Scotty hasn't done yet this year? Win. Rory's won twice. Damn it, this is the year. This is the year. I believe. I want to believe. I want this for Rory McIlroy. This is with my heart a little bit more than with my head this year. So if it goes left, that's why. But my bid for a Masters Championship three-peat sits with Rory McIlroy. I am picking Rory to win the Masters.
I, too, am picking Rory McIlroy to win the Masters, not trying to ride your coattails or piggyback off you.
Well, there are a lot of people.
But it would be riding your coattails because you're picking the best guy.
Yes.
And the best guy seems to be Rory McIlroy. And a lot of America agrees with you.
So what's really fascinating is there haven't been a lot of other guys like that we think about as like the dudes in the game of golf who are winning a bunch of tournaments or playing really great right now. Like Xander Schauffele, who I think if you're just picking winners, I think he's the best value on the board at plus 2,500. He won 2 majors last year, but he hasn't played great to start this year. But he's typically played pretty well at Augusta. He's plus 2,500. Maybe it's him. Like some of the live guys haven't played particularly great golf down on the live tour. Colin Morikawa has been really good, but I don't know if he can close. He hasn't closed recently. There are a lot of other guys like Oberg's just been okay. Victor Hovland, I know he won a few weeks ago, but his game has been very up and down. There's just not a lot of guys that come in here and feel like their games are peaking at the right time. The 2 guys that feel that way are Rory and Scotty, and Rory feels that way more so to me than Scotty. So I'm going with Rory. Rory McIlroy is my pick to win the Masters. Again, the odds of that at Prairie Man Sportsbook are plus 600. Let me throw out some other things for you that I like. As a top 10, Sepp Straka is playing great golf and hitting the ball really well from the approach range where you hit most of your approaches at Augusta. Got that stat from the No Laying Up podcast. Sepp Straka plus 400 to finish top 10. I like that. Sepp's playing some really good golf. Top 20s that I think are worth monitoring. Joaquin Niemann, even money. Phil Mickelson says he's the best golfer in the world. He's never really proved it at a major. He's never had a top 20 at Augusta. But I think the Chilean live golfer has a really good chance. And plus 100, not maybe great value for a top 20, but I think he can get there. Also like a top 20 for Will Zalatoris, who always plays well here. At plus 170. Robert McIntyre is another one too, plus 150. I like him. I like him as a top 20 guy. If you're looking for like a deep sleeper, I don't know how deep a sleeper a guy who's won this tournament can be, but Patrick Reed always plays well at Augusta. He's plus 450 to finish top 10. I kind of like that. Masters rookies generally never show well, but if you want a guy who might be wired to play well like Oberg did in his first Masters last year, Maverick McNeely is plus 600 to the top 10, plus 250 in the top 20. I kind of dig that too. So just a few worth keeping an eye on for you, but I do think that Rory McIlroy is going to do it, and he's going to win the Masters. Vance says he's going with Morikawa. I like Colin a lot. He was in contention last year. I think he was in the final group last year at Augusta. Great iron player, which is always going to give you a chance at Augusta. My whole thing has been a long time since Colin's won. And I know he's got the 2 majors, so we know he can do it. But he hadn't done it in a really long time. Just win a golf tournament. And so I'm a little skeptical of Colin. But I do like him. And I do like his chances to contend for sure. Mark wants to know where Topeka's professional sports franchise, Gary Woodland, might finish in this year's Masters. Let me check the board here. Is he in the field? He might not be in the field this year. His exemption may have did his exemption run out this year, or is it next year that it runs out? Yeah, he's not playing in the Masters this year, unfortunately. Gary Woodland is not a part of the 95 player field. He did not quite make it to the top 50 cutoff. You got to be top 50 in the I think in the FedEx standings or in the world to make the tournament, but he's out of major exemptions. Well, he's out of Masters exemptions after his U.S. Open win and didn't make the top 50 cutoff. So no G-Dub at Augusta this year, which is a bummer. But he is playing better golf. He had that T2 in Houston a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully he can build on that. We'll certainly see him at the U.S. Open. His exemption on that as a past champion still exists. So we'll see him in major season a little bit later.
You also
on.
won't see Luis Oosthuizen.
Oosthuizen.
He's
He's not a former. No, yeah, he's never won a major.
Matt Kuchar.
Matt Kuchar's never won a major.
I just looked up Gary Woodland Masters, and it says from golf.com 10 surprising players you won't see at Augusta National.
I know VJ.
Gary Woodland's number one.
Yeah, I know. VJ's hurt. VJ Singh.
Yeah.
He won't play. A past champ that doesn't play. No Ricky Fowler. Obviously no Tiger Woods. That's always a bummer too. But no, Rory's the pick. I'm riding with Roars, and I'm rooting for it. I want to. I think it would be if you are a fan of golf. There hasn't been a lot of stuff that's happened in golf that make you feel good about being a fan of golf. And I think one thing that would feel good as a fan of golf would be to see Rory McIlroy win the Masters.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm hoping for. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, can the Royals solve the mystery of Joe Ryan? We'll get to find out tonight. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. .544 and 580 Sports Talk. I forgot the friggin' keyword this hour. Choose your trip sweepstakes. That's my bad. I apologize. You got 16 minutes. So I didn't totally forget. You got 16 minutes to go to 580wibw.com. Click on the link that says listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. and enter this hour's keyword for your chance to win. This hour's keyword is friend. 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 As in, I am a bad friend because I forgot to share the keyword with you this hour. Friend. Go to our website, 580wibw.com. Click on the link that says listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. Put in that keyword. Get yourself registered. And hopefully you'll be the one who wins a trip to anywhere in the U.S. Yes, you, the person I'm talking to right now. I hope you win. Sincerely. Royals Twins tonight. 6:40 first pitch at the K, 6 o'clock pregame here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Pitching matchup tonight's a good one. Joe Ryan and Seth Lugo. Joe Ryan's numbers against the Royals are unbelievable. 8 career starts. Ryan is 6-0 with a 1.49 earned run average in 48 and a third career innings. So he averages about almost exactly 6 innings per start. which, it's modern baseball. It's about what you get anyway. Joe Ryan has struck out 55 in those 48 and a third innings and walked just 11. Royals can't score on this guy. Just flat out can't figure out how to get anything done. And it's not like Joe Ryan's a palooka against the other 28 teams. Like, Joe Ryan can pitch. He's been one of the steadier starting pitchers in baseball over the last 3 years. He had an ERA of 3.6 last year. His career ERA is 3.9. Strikes out 10 guys per 9. And he only walks 2 guys per 9. So the strikeout to walk ratio is not, it's exactly 5-1. What it is against the Royals is what it is in his career, just about. So it's not, again, as though this is just some bum who magically figures it out against the Royals. He's pretty good. He got a good arm. He's got a good fastball. He's got good breaking stuff. He's not overpowering. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, which I think is what makes his mastery of the Royals so frustrating. But he has certainly exhibited mastery over the Royals. I was looking for his numbers at Kauffman Stadium in particular. Obviously, he's got good numbers against the Royals, period. But at the K, 4 career starts, a 1.17 earned run average.
Jeez, that's good.
Yeah, he's only allowed 13 hits in 23 innings, 3 runs, all earned, a .82 WHIP in that stretch. So yeah, he's been really difficult to hit for the Royals, and they'll try to solve him tonight with a familiar-looking lineup at the top. It'll be Jonathan India, who, of course, leads things off for the Royals. He'll be in left field tonight. Bobby Witt's at short. Vinny Pasquantino DHs tonight, and Salvador Perez is behind the plate. Michael Massey's at second base. Hunter Renfroe's back in the lineup. He's in right field. Pencil that down for an 0 for 4. Kevin Biggio, the left-handed bat, will play first base tonight and bat 7th. Michael Garcia is at third base, batting 8th. Kyle Isbell in center, batting 9th. The lineup to face Kansas City's Seth Lugo for the struggling Twins. Matt Wallner back up top, the DH, the left-handed hitter. Willie Castro, the third baseman, will bat second. Carlos Correa at short. Trevor Larnach in left field. Ty France, the Royal Killer, at first base, bats 5th. Edouard Julien bats 6th at second base. It's Harrison Bader in center field tonight. So no Byron Buxton. Bader in center, batting 7th. Deshaun Kersey Jr. in right field, batting 8th. And Christian Vasquez will do the catching. Seth Lugo's got a 3.27 ERA in his first 6 starts. Hasn't missed a lot of bats early. 6 strikeouts in his first 11 innings. And as I was watching his last start, and I was noticing that number in his first 2 starts of this season, I kind of thought to myself, that feels familiar. Was that the trend last year with Seth Lugo? And I wasn't barking up the wrong tree. That was exactly the trend with Seth Lugo last year, where for the entire month of April, he wasn't missing bats. His first 5 starts last season comprised 31 innings, and he struck out just 14 guys in 31 innings to start last year. So the bat missing for Lugo, and it was a career low for him last season, but it still got up around 8 strikeouts per 9, which is totally acceptable for a high-volume starting pitcher. But that number didn't start ticking upward until the weather got a little warm as April turned to May. So I would not be concerned looking at Lugo's first 2 starts about the strikeout number, because we've seen it happen where that number turns around fairly sharply as the season goes on. What has not been characteristic of Lugo, and again, this is a super small sample size, but the walks have been a bit of an issue for him. He didn't have great command, especially in his first start. He's walked 4 guys in his first 11 innings this year. Got to be a little sharper within the zone. Maybe he's come out nibbling a little bit, and that's caused the walks to go up and the strikeouts to go down. But again, this is a struggling lineup and one you want to attack. So I expect to see Lugo on the front foot tonight, throwing a lot more strikes. And he's going to have to be really good, because Joe Ryan will take them out with a lot of confidence against a Kansas City team that he has really mastered. I'm going to make a prediction about this one tonight, other than to say that I wouldn't be surprised if, again, it's a low-scoring affair. But one thing the Royals do have to do is they have to strike while the proverbial iron is hot. They have missed some opportunities to put up some big numbers, even in games that they've won, even in the last 3 games. They've had opportunities and missed them. Vinny Pasquantino missed a home run by about grain of wood. It would have been a grand slam that would have busted the game open last night. Guys are just missing that big swing or that big hit, that extra base hit with runners in scoring position. It is incumbent upon the Royals, if they get that opportunity tonight against Joe Ryan, which is certainly not guaranteed, they have got to take full advantage and put a crooked number up back there, guy, and keep the Twins teetering on the edge of the hell that they are close to finding themselves in already this season. We're going to take a quick timeout, but first, a word from my friends at Great Life here in Topeka. And you've seen the weather turn the last couple of days. It is just about to really be golf weather. 75 and sunny. I wish I could go play right now. Great Life has 5 outstanding golf courses, also 7 great fitness centers in the greater Topeka area. And there is truly something for everyone. Go see why they call it the best golf and fitness membership in Topeka. I call it that because the perks, especially on the golf side, are outstanding for an all-inclusive member like myself. Go to greatlifetopeka.com for more information. One final timeout. We'll come back and wrap the show up with the final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Slightly delayed, but never denied. The final word on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what do you got?
Yeah, I guess I was too busy earlier, and that was the one thing I didn't
They'd be like that sometimes.
Didn't do, but I realized
We've all done it.
I realized it before a normal break bed aired, though.
That's a relief.
That is the relief. Just a little bit too late. Royals tonight, obviously, is going to be a tough one when they face the pitching they're going to pitch. But I think what the pitching for the Royals has been able to do so far is what we kind of, at least this week, I think is the pitching that we anticipated we were going to get. And it needs to continue tonight with Seth Lugo.
Final word for me is that Big 12 men's basketball isn't going to get any easier. BYU's bringing in A.J. Dibansa. Houston's bringing in the number 2 recruiting class in the country, just added Pop Isaacs. J.T. Toppin's back at Texas Tech. Arizona's freshman recruiting class is monstrous. For Kansas and Kansas State, you got to keep up with the Joneses. For Kansas, that means finding the right guys to put around your own star in Darren Peterson. They've done the hard part. They have a guy, a capital D dude, that you can build a winning team, not just a winning team, but a contending team in the league, a contending team for a top 4 seed, contending team in March around. That's how good I think Darren Peterson is. Now, I'm not sure K-State has that guy. Certainly not yet. There's a long way to go before the transfer portal closes after all, but K-State's got to know that the standard keeps getting higher in the conference. And so their own standard for who they bring to campus, who they keep around on campus, has to get higher accordingly. I'm fascinated by their foray into some international recruiting and see what kind of fruit that might bear for Jerome Tang's program, but definitely needs to be some more urgency on the part of everybody in the Big 12 Conference, because it's not going to get any easier. As Kelvin Sampson put it after they beat Duke, it ain't the toy poodle league. Never was, certainly isn't now. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk today. We'll be on the air tomorrow following Royals baseball until 6 o'clock. Royals baseball coming up here at the bottom of the hour, 6:40, first pitch from the K. Ryan and Lugo, the starters, Twins, Royals, Game 3. For Spencer, I'm Dan. Good night.